Because whether you like them, woo, or you don't, they are the best thing, woo, in the football world today. Woo! Woo! Hell yeah, baby. We're back. It's week one. We get Utah. I cannot wait for this weekend. We're going to get to see the Gators after a long absence. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. It's an absolutely electric week. Um, I'm here with my boy, Mac Murphy. How are we feeling, buddy?
It's almost it's like Christmas. It's we're getting antsy. It's December 22nd, 23rd. You see the presents under the tree. You can't open them yet, but they're fucking there, and you just want to run through a brick wall and start ripping paper and seeing what shit you got. And that's we're a few days away from that. We're on like Christmas Eve right now,
Right.
and cannot fucking wait. It's not necessary. Well, I mean, it's just an experience the whole fucking day. Get in there at the crack ass of dawn, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, cooking some ribs and chicken, and just having a damn good day, watching other games, and then stumbling up the stairs,
Yeah.
and through the concourse, and then finding your seat, using one eye because you're seeing double, and then you sit down and you cheer on the boys in blue, and I can't fucking wait, man.
Yeah.
It's always this time of year is second
You
to
can't
none.
beat it. You can't
No,
beat it. I
no,
mean, yeah, Christmas is cool and all, but like, this is
yeah,
football. This is
yes.
fucking football.
Santa never brought me the Gators kicking some ass on the Saturday. I can tell
Yeah,
you that.
I wait for Christmas for about 3 weeks, but I wait for football all spring and summer long.
Yeah,
So
8 months.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, you're kind of a neurotic pre-planner, and you've already been having nightmares about the tailgate, about fucking up the tailgate.
Yeah, I have nightmares of I've told Champ in confidence, but he blew my cover. I thought we had
Smell
some
your trust shake.
I thought we had some privilege here, but yeah, a few weeks ago I had a couple nightmares of just not having our spot. It was taken. Someone else was parking there, and we didn't have a place to go. I've had dreams that they've had our spot roped off or can't say nope, can't park here anymore. And I had dreams of forgetting the fucking smoker, the meat, the TV, the generator to run all the shit. I've just had nightmares upon nightmares of this, and but it's almost like practice for me. It makes me better, so I won't forget
Yeah,
these things.
mental reps.
Yeah,
Mental
yeah,
reps. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. We'll do a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about Utah. Talk some shit, and we'll kind of give you a little bit of a preview. Even though this is kind of the game where we don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Aside from it being week one of the season, it's week one of the Napier. What are we?
era.
Era or regime? Either one
Yeah,
is going to be hopefully a dictatorial presence in the SEC. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. We get Utah this week. My kind of awareness of Utah is that they've always been like, or they're the less weird or the less weird Mormon school in Utah, and so they're not even like, I mean, BYU, they're weird, but they kind of own it, and Utah is weird, and they just are kind of quietly weird. So they're kind of like,
it,
yeah, I don't know.
they don't have to be weird because they're a state school, but they still are just because.
Right? They can't help it.
Yeah, no offense, but um, I mean,
I
Champ said it
actually think,
perfectly.
yeah,
They BYU embraces it. Utah doesn't, and they're just like hiding in the shadows of BYU, like saying, "Hey, don't look over here because you'll see we're just as weird as BYU."
yeah, yeah. So I looked into Utah a little bit. I actually thought that they were a Christian school for whatever reason, but they were actually founded by a thing called the State of Deseret, or Big Mormon for those of you who don't know what that is. It was like I think it was like some sort of Mormon cabal that tried to make their own state, like actual state before Utah became a state, and they founded Utah University or University of Utah, and yeah, they were all Mormons that founded it. And let's see, this is we're kind of low on information about them just because they are so boring. Um, so it seems like well, let's see, where else should I went to Salt Lake City a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Met some people from Salt Lake, and it honestly felt like I was at it was full of Christian counselors, except instead of thinking that you know Christianity people are kind of weird, it's like the weirder version of that. They're all fucking Mormon and super weird, and it definitely gave off summer camp vibes, which was odd. I thought.
Yeah, I had one experience. Been to Utah, um, and went there. The only reason we went there, we were traveling to the north. Like we're going to all the state parks out there, and we went to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, Mount Zion, I think, or something like that. Zion
Yep.
National Park, and a few others out there. And I'll never forget. I had just turned 21 at the time, so I was like a big swinging dick. Could use my ID to buy alcohol, and picked the worst fucking place ever to go. And like we had to
Right.
drive like 20 miles to find a liquor store. And we were in a mind you, we were in a city that had a population of like 50,000 or some odd. We were or 50, 75, 80,000. So we had to
Yeah.
drive to another town that probably had, 50 or some odd thousand people. That was 30 minutes down the road. Uh, to the only liquor store when I searched liquor store on Google. It was the only thing that popped up, and they were only open, till like 8 p.m. So we had to run there,
I think it's
and
run by the government.
yeah, the employees were like assholes, like just not like usually you go to a liquor store, and those employees are the least judgy of people because they want you to buy liquor. I go in there and I grab a bottle of liquor and I just get a look of like disgust from the fucking employee that works at the goddamn liquor store. And I'm like, I'm I'm just wanting to buy some whiskey. Like,
Yeah.
don't. And I was like, they just looked at me like, just disapproving of me. And I'm like, well, why are you working at a fucking liquor store?
They need to see
Um,
up on your high horse.
and so it was just a weird experience.
Yeah,
You,
speaking of the liquor factor, I went to a wedding, and they have these weird like caps on all the bottles if you're at the bar, and you can't pour more than like 75% of a shot. And I was at that wedding and I probably had 15 gin and tonics. I should have been absolutely shit faced on my fucking ass, but I wasn't. I was perfectly fine, gave a speech. Well, I wasn't perfectly fine, but I asked for a double one time, and they said in the state of Utah, you're not allowed to pour a double. You can't pour doubles. You have to get a fucking separate shot and make it look like, you have to like sneak a second shot and then dump it in your drink and mix it yourself. What the fuck are we even doing here? Absurd.
what? And then us being Floridians, um, we have it's not an open container rule type deal, but you can buy to go alcohol from restaurants. You
Yeah.
can ask. You can ask. They ask the bartenders, "Oh, you want a double?" Like that's the first fucking question I ever get. I'm like, "Hey, let me get a whiskey ginger." "Oh, you want a double?" Duh.
Supersize my shit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, triple me, boss. And then you got fucking Utah out there just regulating alcohol. What the fuck is this prohibition? That's
Yeah. A few years
it's
ago, I saw a line. I think it was at a Jazz game. There was like nobody in line for beer, and then there was like a big ass line for soda, which is
a slushy stand. They had a slushy stand that was just
yeah.
packed.
Yeah,
All right.
they call alcohol the mixer out there.
Yeah, beer is what they use for a mixer, or beer is what they use to
Yeah,
it's a beer and Coke. They don't have whiskey and Coke out
right.
there. So
Okay. Well,
fuck.
so I was looking for some of their traditions that we could even roast, and I googled Utah Utes traditions, and what came up was quote: Every time the Utes score, the band plays the school fight song, signaling the muss, which is their student section, to sing along to the words of the Utah fight song. So incredibly original with that one. I've never heard of anybody scoring a touchdown playing the fight song before. Um, and then they also stole Miami's hand sign of the U, which I mean, you know, don't like that. But yeah, pretty fucking unoriginal. It kind of reminds me of I don't know, like at at uh, at FGCU we kind of were trying to establish, some tradition established traditions because we didn't have any of our own, and that kind of seems like what Utah is doing in spite of their success. Um, yeah, you got anything?
No, they're boring as fuck.
Yeah, fuck them, hate them.
It's
And
just
they
a.
say heck and dang, which is gay as fuck.
I hope I see some Utah fan. Like I'm a nice fan,
Yeah,
um, and I'm gonna be nice, but I'm gonna like cuss extra hard. Like or just cuss when it doesn't make sense. Just throw cuss words in there just to make it uncomfortable
yeah,
for them. But I don't think. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of Utah fans there. Obviously, their section that they get, the away section, I think they'll have some fans in there, but I don't. It's not like a LSU or
yeah.
FSU or Alabama where you'll have those fans sprinkled in throughout the rest of the stadium. I don't. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't even
think
know if they'll
there's.
make it to the upper deck. I mean, um, usually like Tennessee will have guys in the upper deck, but I don't even know if they'll. I mean,
Um,
I don't know about Ute Nation, but I don't think it's very big.
no, I mean if we were in Utah, obviously I think it would be pretty big, but we're miles away from Utah.
Yeah,
You're
dozens of
not
miles.
you're not in Utah anymore, Dorothy. No, it doesn't.
All right, well, let's talk a little ball. Yeah, so kind of the narrative of this game is that uh, Whitting is it Whittingham?
Whittingham,
Yeah.
Whittingham.
So Whittingham's been at Utah since fucking
Urban
forever.
Meyer. So he took
Yeah,
over after Urban Meyer.
I think he coached under Urban Meyer there. So I mean, he's been there a long, long time. It's kind of surprising that the amount of success that they've had, he hasn't been hired away. He's been in what, three conferences with them? I think they used to be
Um,
WAC team, or were they Mountain
no,
West?
they were Mountain West, and I think they went straight from Mountain West to the Pac-12.
Yeah, well, I mean, still a big move. Yeah, so but the narrative is that you know what you're getting with Utah, and with Florida, you really have no idea. I mean, last year the Gators, I mean, underperform is kind of an understatement of the century. Um, but I think we're on the same page. The Gators could have been a 9-win team pretty easily last year if they hadn't quit so hard.
Yeah,
Um,
two of their games clear. Were clear.
they would have
Um,
definitely lost to Utah or to Georgia and who else? Should we Oh, Alabama, of course, obviously.
well, yeah, and then the other ones were we shouldn't have lost to LSU. We shouldn't have lost to um,
Missouri or
Mizzou or USC, and who else? That's only
Kentucky.
and Kentucky should not have lost that game.
That was an embarrassing loss.
Yeah, I think both the Mizzou and USC games were cash it in games. You can't put much stock into that. So I don't think Florida is as bad as what people made out to be last year. Like you have to take into consideration the mailing it in um, games
Yeah, the quit
and
factor.
and the quit factor. And since that, it was honestly after that LSU loss, they quit. They just flat out quit. and I don't think we. I think
Damn near lost to Sanford.
is this schedule tougher than last year's in totality? Yes, I agree. It is. Is our team? Um, are we? I think the addition by subtraction is going to be beneficial to Florida as far as not having a Grantham defense and not having a coach that has quit. I think
Yeah.
that right there. I think the over under for Florida and wins is 6.5. I'm a homer, and you've heard us if you listened last week. 10-2 is the floor, um, but I see us getting to 7 or getting over that relatively easy. I don't think there's, I know we're not here for a season preview, but kind of just talking about the team. I think Florida is a talented football team with the right motivation and the right style. They can be successful. I mean, you look at their schedule. We're going to be the more talented team on Saturday. I mean, that's
Yep.
that's undisputed fact of we have more talent on the field than Utah. Utah has more continuity on the field than us. That's their benefit or their
Yeah, their advantage.
edge over us. However, I don't necessarily know if that's going to be you know a bad thing that we don't have continuity because there was some poisonous type attitudes on the team. I still think there might be a few out there, but I think Billy Napier's done a good job to right that ship. Let's roll into kind of what Utah is. We've heard the pundits say they're experienced. They return a lot. They return their quarterback. He threw for 2,500 yards and 500 ran for 500 last year. He missed he had a bum shoulder, apparently, is what I've heard, is why he couldn't throw down the field. He didn't have much success on stretching the field vertically. I'm not worried. I don't think they'll be able to stretch the field vertically because they don't have a guy that's going to be able to get past this deep. I think, but that's not. I could see them nickel and diming their way down the field on us. I definitely could see that. But I don't, and that's why I don't think they are going to this game on both sides. I don't think it's going to get out of hand either way because they don't have the um, home run threat power to score quick and score these big plays. I don't think they'll be able to do that. I think they have the ability to sustain drives. They have a really good running game. They have a veteran quarterback, and then on our side, again, I don't think they're going to make too many mistakes on defense to allow us to have a big play, other than maybe Anthony Richardson doing Anthony Richardson things.
Yeah.
So I think those two combinations. I don't think there's going to be on our end, if we do miss assignments, I think we have the talent and speed to, prevent that. What could have been a 40-yard run would be a 15-yard run, and he's caught at the second level. And then I think they're disciplined enough where, we might, make a few guys miss and get 10 or 15 yards, but I think they're going to be disciplined enough not to let our receivers be running down the field wide ass open. So I think both of those factors render this game being a close one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is going to be pretty close. I hadn't heard that about his shoulder, but that sounds like a Twitter excuse to me.
No,
Um,
apparently this year he had an off season like procedure or something, and he's full 100% and ready
better
to
than
go.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Um, they have a very talented running back. He ran for 1,100 yards last year, and he had 21 touchdowns, which is, I mean, that's pretty fucking good for a running back. They averaged 250 yards a game in the final 9 games on the ground. Um, which is pretty crazy. That's kind of the part that is going to be the most telling part is how will the Gator defensive line, especially the interior defensive line, be able to deal with kind of how this offensive line, who actually was number 4 in the nation last year in pass protection, um, and they obviously paved the way for a bunch of running yards too. So
yeah, that's my biggest concern with this defense, and it's been talked about all off season. It's been talked about all camp. It's been talked about leading up to this game. Is the interior defensive line? We have plenty of pass rusher guys, plenty of edge guys. I'm not concerned with Ventrell Miller being at linebacker. Amari Burney is one of our starters. He could be a liability. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses his spot throughout the season, but he is starting tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I'm sorry, in 2 or 3 days, whenever Saturday is after you listen to this. Um, I think he is, or our defense, if our linebackers step up, like last year, I think our interior defensive line was not bad. Our linebackers weren't good when Miller went down, and you saw that, and part of it's scheme. I think
We
it
had
could
like
be.
Zach Carter. I mean, he was
No, we didn't have
amazing.
Zach Carter last year. That was the year
Oh,
before. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I think we, we need a couple of our freshmen interior linemen, McClellan, Jamari Lyons, to step up. Chris Thomas, I don't even know if he was listed on the depth chart that just was released moments ago. He is a redshirt freshman, or I believe, but we need two of those three guys to step up and be contributors. I don't think we can rely on Desmond Watson to give us more than 10 plays in the game. So right now the starters are Gervon Dexter and Jalen Lee, and after that it's Chris McClellan. They had Tyreek Sapp listed as the backup D. They had Dexter. We had two DNs and a nose tackle, where it was what the depth chart stated. Um, but
Wait,
you know,
two DNs and what?
and a nose tackle, which Gervon Dexter was one of the defensive ends, and then they also had Chris McClellan. It was third behind Tyreek Sapp, who's backing up Dexter. So I don't know if that means they've moved Tyreek Sapp inside. I've heard Tyreek Sapp has done really well all fall camp and had a decent. I don't know if he was playing in spring, but he's had a really good fall camp. And if they've moved him inside, he is 260 pounds, 265 pounds. If he can play quick, and if he's apparently he's one of the strongest guys on the team, is what I've heard as well. If that's the case, if he's 260 and he can play like he's 280, 285, he might be a solid. Obviously he wouldn't be a candidate to play nose tackle. I don't want that size of a guy playing nose tackle, but if he can give us meaningful downs on the interior, much like if you remember, Zach Carter played interior um, defensive line one season when we lacked some depth there, and he was serviceable. He was obviously much better as a strong side defensive end. I think Tyreek Sapp would be much better as a strong side defensive end, but we have Justice Boone and Princely. I'm not even going to Princely you at the strong side defensive end. And I think those guys are more than capable of playing that. And I think Tyreek Sapp is going to be needed on that interior defensive line. And I'm actually glad to see him there, because you want to put your best guys on the field. And I think he's going to be one of our better defensive linemen. So he could be one of the guys that realizes, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this position. Next year they work to get 15, a healthy 15, 20 pounds on him, and he plays next season at 280, and that's that. So I won't bore you anymore with that, but that is our glaring concern on defense, is that interior defensive line.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, kind of the whole problem last year can be boiled down to our team was talented, but they weren't disciplined, and they gave up. Obviously, that's been kind of beaten to death. But um, yeah, on paper, Billy Napier runs a kind of disciplined team. He's not like a hard ass, I don't think, but I think he expects the most out of his players, and he's able to hold them accountable. But he's not. I wouldn't say the drill sergeant type. Um, so on paper, we should be better. But let's look at the Florida offense versus the Utah defense. So obviously, the centerpiece of the offense this year is going to be Anthony Richardson. Um, I, I mean, he has an out. The sky's the limit for him. So he can make any kind of play on the football field. He has a huge arm and he's lightning fast. So that's kind of the X factor in all these games. If he goes off, then I think we have the chance to beat the hell out of him. But it's kind of rest with him. But I think that we're gonna run the ball a lot more. We the depth chart just got released. It looks like our starting running back is Naquan, and then we have Johnson as the backup, and then ETN is also is the third. So I think all those guys are going to see some action. You might even see Lingard. Who knows? You know, the running back is one of our deepest positions. So I mean, I think we're going to run the ball quite a lot, and that's going to open up some spots for Anthony Richardson to go deep or on some read options. Um, uh, I think a good running game is really going to help him have kind of a successful season. Why don't you talk about what we can see out of the passing game, specifically like the receivers and stuff?
Yeah, I think this is you're going to see Napier set the running game is going to be important to set up the pass. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be many instances where we're going to have receivers running wide open down the field. However, if we're running it fairly well against them, and I think our offensive line is pretty good or could has the potential to be pretty good.
Yep.
Um, so if that's the case and we run the ball very well, and this is said over and over, it doesn't take a genius to say that the best passing game is a good running game. It sets up your play action. In a first game, Anthony Richardson, although we know he's a phenomenal talent, the reality is he hasn't played a whole lot of football. He hasn't thrown a whole lot.
Yep.
He just hasn't. So I think what's going to be, I don't think you're going to see Billy Napier go out there and ask Richardson to step back and throw the ball 40 times on Saturday. If that's the case, we're probably down by 20 points and we're trying to catch up.
Yep.
So if Richardson is and throws the ball 40 times, I would say we probably lost that game. I think what you're going to see is instances where now could Napier call 40 to, RPOs or 50 RPOs, and could I wouldn't be surprised if Richardson did hit the 40 pass attempts and 10 or 15 of them were little dink dunk RPO type things because they're trying to stop him from running so much. Um, and but I think if we run the ball well and force them to bring an extra guy into the box, I think the play action is going to make them susceptible to something over the top. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be able to get some separation on their guys. Much how they have a really good tight end that apparently lines up in the slot, plays a lot of those positions or like
Wait,
that. He's
the Gators do?
no, Utah. But I think we counter that with the guy in Pearsall who, if he's playing inside, they're going to have to line their nickel or their safety up on him, and I like Pearsall to win that battle. From all accounts, he's an excellent route runner and has great hands and is pretty shifty. So I like those odds, especially if they bounce a linebacker out on him or like if they bounce like Diabate out on him. I like Ricky Pearsall to win that 9 times out of 10. Again, I think we have the potential to be able to run the ball well against them just based on the threat of Anthony Richardson to take it to the house at any time.
Yeah, so let's switch focus onto their defense. They don't have that big of a defense, but they were excellent last year in 2021. And they're returning, I think, 8 starters on defense. But they are losing their all world middle linebacker, Devin Lloyd. He was a first round draft pick. He plays for the Jags now. I think he was a All American, and by all accounts, he was kind of the I don't know if he was the quarterback on defense for them, but he was the identity of the defense, the kind of the heart and soul. So he's going to be tough to replace. And the guy who he is replacing is somebody who we all know, or I'm sorry, the guy who is replacing him is a guy that we all know. It's Diabate. They are similar sizes. Diabate is about 15 pounds lighter than Lloyd was. We kind of know with Diabate how he is as a run defender. If we roll the LSU tape, he got absolutely fucking railroaded all game. So if we can replicate that, then I think I like our odds. Especially, I mean, you got guys like Naquan in there, and I mean, it's going to be tough for a guy like Diabate to defend Naquan Wright. but they are definitely no slouch. This is just a consistent team. Year after year, you kind of know what you're getting with Utah. They're sort of an 8-4 to 10-2 type of program, and they are good on in the trenches, and they have decent defenses every year. I looked at up their returning sack leader, not the sack leader from last year, but the guy on the team now with the most sacks. It's Van Fillinger, and he had five and a half sacks last year. And I looked up the tape, and three of them were against our good buddy Jarrett Garantano, or Jared Guantanamo Bay, formerly of Tennessee. Um,
They played Tennessee last year.
no, he
He's a grad transfer.
Garantano plays for Wazoo now.
Oh, he played for Wazoo last year.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh fuck.
yeah. Pretty crazy.
You could
The
have you could
transfer
have
portal is wild.
you could have told me he was still at You could have told me he's still at Tennessee, and I would have believed you.
Garantano is the poor man's Bo Nix.
He's worse, like way worse.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Um,
poor man's Bo Nix. He stinks, but he's you know in the Big 12 now, or Pac 12.
all right. I don't know. There's not really much. We've kind of touched offense, defense, special teams. Who the fuck knows at this point? I don't know. Um, this
No
seems like
one
a
knows.
game. This seems like a game that I wouldn't be surprised if a couple special teams plays we look back on were the pendulum and deciding factors of the game.
Yeah, Etienne's returning kicks, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm excited. I just want to see. I want to see some organization. I don't want to see the defense running around not knowing where to line up. I'll be happy if they're ready for the play when the play comes in, and that shouldn't be an issue against Utah. They don't run like a super up tempo type offense. I think at times they will go with some tempo, but for the most part they don't. And then last year, even when we were playing teams that didn't have tempo, it would still be like a hassle to line up, and it was so frustrating. I mean, it went on for 3 years, and it was just mind boggling as to why is it so complicated to line up, and you're already putting your players at a disadvantage if they don't know where to be, or they don't know this changed, oh they did this and now everyone's got to move. Just line up and play fucking ball, and I think that's what we're going to see. I hope that's what we see on defense. Offense, I just want to see us I want to see us um, establish the running game and protect the football. We turned the ball over a lot last year. I think that's going to be a key. If we lose the turnover battle in this game, we'll lose the game. I'm confident in saying that. But if we win the turnover battle, and that's the other thing I would like to see on defense, generate some turnovers. We've been very
Yeah,
like we used to fly around the ball. We used to be able to do all those things up until it was like in 2019. We still were able to get after it. But 2020 and 2021, we probably had less than 10 turnovers combined in both seasons, or right around 10 or 11. That's a
yeah.
pathetic.
Two, not enough for BBU. Not enough.
Yep. So let's get some interceptions, or let's get to the quarterback and you know generate a turnover. And I won't be mad if we don't generate a turnover, as long as we didn't give a turnover. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah,
So
just
those
kind of
are.
when the turnover battle, be organized and keep the mental mistakes to a minimum. You know what I mean? This is supposedly a new staff, but the things we've been hearing about them is they're the kind of the philosophy of the team is don't beat yourself.
Yep.
Just play your game and don't get a bunch of penalties and fuck yourself up, which is kind of something we haven't really had at Florida. Even when we were good, we were still a highly penalized team, especially when we were good. So it would be nice to not have 15 fucking false starts like we did at
That
Kentucky last year.
that's the thing. Control the controllables. Control the penalties that you can control. We can prevent a false start. We can prevent lining up wrong and having an illegal formation. We
Yep.
can prevent having too many men on the field. We can prevent jumping off sides. We can prevent late hits. We can. I won't get into targeting, and I'm not, and pass interference and holding those. If they happen, they happen. Um, but control those 5 yard penalties add up quick, and you got to control those, because you know that's clearly in your realm of control. They're not judgment calls like a holding or a pass interference. A false start's a false start. You know it when you see it. An offsides is an offsides. Lining up wrong and illegal formation or illegal shift or any of that is that's the call. We gotta eliminate those penalties.
Yep. And yeah, I mean that kind of wraps it up. Like I said, there's not really much to kind of you know go into. Kind of the only thing that we do know about this game is that it's going to be a packed house. It's going to be muggy, and we're going to be acting like fucking psychos in the stands. That's kind of the man that Alabama game last year. That was such a rush. I mean, we just it was so much fun, and the crowd really played a role in that game, and it was that's kind of what been chasing since then. You know what I mean? That was kind of where last season fell off the rails in a way, but I can't wait to go back, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I second that. It's always fun being up there. I I I love Gainesville. I love uh, I love the swamp. I love tailgating. I love everything about it. It's truly the best time of year. There's
Yeah,
second to none. So you got a score prediction for us, champ?
yeah. So I think it's gonna be like 38-27. I think we're gonna beat them by 2 scores. I think that it's gonna be a fairly high scoring game. I don't know that our defense is gonna be able to, uh, keep them super low, and I think our offense is going to be pretty good. I think that Richardson is gonna have a hell of a game, and I think this is going to set the tone for the whole year. Gators by 11.
All right. I think we're gonna win. You'll rarely have me pick us to lose a game on here if you've been listening. I think my score prediction is 31-27. I think it's going to be close. I think this is going to be a stressful game. As a fan, we'll feel like we just played 4 quarters out there from just
Yeah,
the the anxiety, the
we're
tenseness
gonna
of
leave it
it.
all out there. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to leave it in the stands. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a tough game, and it's going to be a draining game. And and there's going to be moments where you think you're going to break through and get that 2 possession lead and have some breathing room, and then they're going to punch right back. I think it's going to be a blow for blow type game. That's my prediction. The Gators 31, the Utes of Utah 27.
hell yeah. But I know we're gonna have a good time. Excited to see everybody there. I cannot wait. I'm absolutely pumped for this. Gonna be up in Gainesville. Mac is trying to get to the parking spot at 7:30 a.m. That way we have plenty of time to get the ribs smoked, get the drinks in us. We're gonna have I think we have 3 or 4 different quarters of drinking planned ahead of this game, and we're gonna get there to the stadium early, like Billy Napier said. But yeah, can't wait to see you all there. Go Gators, work 'em silly.